Hi, welcome to Highland Cottage Books. I'm Martha and this is Highland Cottage, and today I'm going to give you some recommendations for some books that have either just come out or are about to come out in June 2025. These are thriller books and horror books that were sent to me by the publishers, although I need to add that these opinions are entirely my own. I was not swayed by the generosity, although I am thankful. I read 14 new releases in May, partly because I was taking part in a competitive readathon. I don't think I'll be reading that many books in June. My eyes and my ears are tired. But I read 14 new releases, and these are the 8 that I feel good about recommending to you. So I made coffee and tea, and it's starting to get hot here outside of Philadelphia. So I have some, lemon infused ice water. So if you want to go grab that, that's in the fridge. Have a seat on the couch with me and let's talk books. In The Man Made of Smoke, Dan Garvey is a prison psychiatrist who is haunted by a harrowing experience that he had as a small child. He was on vacation with his family when he used the bathroom in a rest stop, and he encountered another boy just about his age who was terrified and emaciated and looked very miserable. And young Dan thought, I should help this kid. But when a man came in the bathroom, he was terrified, and so he hid. Later on, it became clear that the man who came into the bathroom was a serial killer named the Pied Piper. That was his nickname. And he was notorious, and he hurt small children. So the rest of Dan's life has had the shadow of guilt and powerlessness and trauma from that experience. Also, the Pied Piper is known for saying this phrase. He says, "Nobody sees and nobody cares." And he says that to his victims, but he also says that to the people he encounters. It's very off-putting and very ominous and very frightening. And it is kind of his calling card. And unfortunately, in the case of Dan and the other people at the rest stop that day, the Pied Piper was a little bit correct in that nobody really saw what was happening. And those who did see didn't care, with the exception of Dan, who did care, but was just a small child and was terrified himself. So Dan is now an adult, and he has come back to the island where he was raised because his father, who is a retired police officer, has gone missing. And all of this has brought up experiences and memories that he had thought he had left in the past. This book is quite suspenseful. It's very page-turnery, and it is impossible to put down once you pick it up. It is very dark, and it also has a character named Liam Cunningham, who is a police officer on the island. He's a former classmate of Dan's, and he is one of the best drawn bullies I have ever read in fiction. He's just prosaically pathetic and petty, and yet powerful in the ways that he can kind of jab at you with his words and the ways that he controls other people through intimidation. And he's the worst. I mean, okay, no, he's not the Pied Piper. He's not the serial killer, but it is a very, very solid depiction of the smallness of a bully and how they maintain their power. It's nicely done. That's an aside. He's not a big part of the book. I just wanted to say that Alex North had a winner in that character, or rather a loser, I suppose. But Alex North also wrote a book called The Whisper Man, which came out a year or so ago, and I liked that one as well. And again, he is exploring similar themes of fathers and sons and generational trauma. This book is an absolute winner, and if you pick it up, you're going to enjoy it as much as you can enjoy a book about, you know, a serial killer. 1 in 4 is about a chemical dependency counselor who is working on a reality TV show with a group of former child stars who are each struggling with substance use disorder. That is the premise of the book, but it's actually not what the book is about. So if you're reading it looking for reality TV shenanigans and celebrities behaving badly, this is not the book for you. This book starts with the implosion of the show when the youngest cast member, the youngest participant on the show, is found on the bathroom floor. For reasons we don't know. We don't know what's happened to her. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe it was an OD. Maybe it was something much worse. We don't know. About halfway through the book, there was a, oh my God, what did I just read moment? And the whole thing goes right off the rails. It takes an extreme left turn. And for me, it was a welcome left turn, but there are some reviewers who are kind of like, you promised me a book about reality TV and this is not it. And I personally am not a huge fan of reality TV, although I do love The Traitors and The Devil's Plan. I will confess to that. But I'm not really interested in your celebrity rehabs or, you know, your Desperate Housewives kind of situations. So I didn't mind that it took that turn and went far away from that particular topic. But if that's why you're going into it, I would give this one a pass. But if you're looking for a straightforward, good thriller, sort of what is even happening in this moment, kind of reality based in that there's no paranormal stuff happening here, then this book might be for you. The author, Lucinda, is a former clinical psychologist with an expertise in childhood trauma. So she gets the science of what she's talking about right, but not at the expense of a rip-roaring plot. So I recommend this book with the caveat of it's not about reality TV. When Olivia Dumont is financially ruined and professionally blackballed for rightfully criticizing a fellow ghostwriter publicly, she is forced to reluctantly agree to pen her father's memoirs. Her estranged father is famous for 2 reasons. 1, he's an incredibly popular horror writer, and 2, when he was a teenager, his older brother and his younger sister were found dead in the family home, and he was perhaps suspected, but he had an alibi and was never charged, and that has cast a shadow over the rest of his life and the life of his child. Her father can't write the book on his own because he's in the early stages of dementia, and at times he's incredibly lucid, and at other times he is not a very reliable witness. Olivia is interviewing him and also other people who were around at the time, discovering that her aunt wrote diaries and also filmed a lot of that summer on her new Super 8 camera. As Olivia goes deeper and deeper into her father's family's dynamics, she discovers more and more layers of secrets that have been buried for decades. This book had me staying up well into the night, and I give it an enthusiastic 4.5 stars. There are reasons for this. It's not a thriller and it's not a horror novel. It's actually literary fiction, but I wanted to include it on this list, like tucking in some veggies in the cheese sauce, hoping that you'll pick it up because this book should have an audience. It has just come out and it is simply gorgeous. It takes place in the not too distant future when most people don't have jobs. Everything can be done through AI and computers. And also the weather has gone a bit sideways. Everything has changed. In this world, people are so starved for genuine human connection that there are professional cuddlers who are paid by the state to hold you and to hug you. We're following Lucy, who has moved to Denver from her family's farm in order to figure out what happened to her beloved brother, Mikey, who died while he was with his new friend, Helen. I can only describe the prose in this book as poetically deadpan. There is absolutely no extra fat on the words, but it is incredibly succinct and beautiful at the same time. The author creates a world that just aches and yearns and is hollow in this incredibly evocative way. This book is quietly stunning and original, and I want people to read it. My first horror book is Sunrise on the Reaping. And if you don't think that a group of 48 children forced to rip each other apart for the entertainment of a group of rich knobs isn't horror, I don't know what to tell you. This prequel to the Hunger Games trilogy is brutal, both physically and emotionally. It tells the story of how 16-year-old Hamish Abernathy was reaped for the infamous Quarter Quell and how he became an enemy of President Snow and the Capitol. More importantly, perhaps, it's also a politically sharp exploration of how authoritarian states use lies, propaganda, fear, and threats in order to keep people in line. It's rather timely. We Live Here Now is by Sarah Pinborough, the author of one of my personal favorites, Behind Her Eyes. In this tense and twisty psychological drama, we are following a couple that is being put through quite a ringer. After a tragic and disfiguring accident, Emily and her husband have moved to an old house on the moors, hoping for a fresh start. But the house has other plans for them. The suspense is thick, the horror creeps in slowly and inevitably, and the end is like a car crash that you cannot turn away from. In The Starving Saints, we're in a castle that's been besieged for months, and there are only 15 days left of food. Everyone is hungry, everyone is desperate, everyone is tired, everyone is scared. And then suddenly a group of beautiful strangers miraculously appears and offer them salvation. But at what cost? Dun, dun, dun. First, can we talk about that cover? Look at that. Look at how cool that cover is. So we are actually following three women. One is a knight who is feeling a little disenchanted with her king. We have a nun who is in an order of kind of scholar nuns who was able to perform a miracle, but she's considered heretical and has been excommunicated by her order, but at the same time they need her because she was able to clean the water when no one else could. And finally, there is a servant, Trela, who is harboring and nursing a secret vendetta against some people in the castle. And finally, this book is scary and gross. As you imagine, people in desperate need of food don't always eat good things. Also, there's a lot of sapphic yearning in this book. Everybody is, these three women in various ways are pining and keening and desperately want each other. But it is not a spicy book. It is an entertaining book, and I highly recommend it. Again, look at that cover. So in this world, the religion is one with kind of a figurehead called the Constant Lady, and they have ritualized and sacramental honey that they eat, and that is why she has the honeycomb. And the reason why there are creepy people under the hood, well, you'll just have to read it. My favorite book of the month was Bateater and Other Names for Cora Zeng, which is about a 20-something-year-old woman who's sort of floating along through her life when the pandemic hits New York in 2020. She's walking along with her sister, and they're on the hunt for toilet paper because there's a toilet paper shortage. They're on the subway platform, and a man comes over and pushes her sister in front of the train and says the word Bateater, which is a slur that was being used at the time against women of East Asian descent. Not only is she completely traumatized, but she's lost her job because of the pandemic and she has to find some new work. She becomes a crime scene cleaner, where after the police come and they take away the body and the evidence, what is left is all the gross, unfortunate stuff that is left behind. She and her crew start to see a pattern in what they're finding on these sites. A lot of East Asian women seem to be the victims of some very violent activities. Also, her sister might be haunting her. This is a frightening ghost story with plenty of biting social commentary. It is gutting, vivid, unforgettable, and oh so smart. So that's it. 3 thrillers, 4 horror novels, and 1 literary fiction book that I snuck in there as a bonus that you should be reading at the beginning of June 2025. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.